With the Modern Warfare 3 beta coming to a close, it was a pleasure to see that Sledgehammer Games is listening to the community feedback and executing necessary changes to make the experience much more balanced and fun for everyone. But with Sledgehammer Games getting this much recognition, it has also been giving Infinity Ward a bad name across the board, and through tweets and memes, you can see that the community is not happy about what Infinity Ward has done throughout the year with Modern Warfare 2, and that definitely brings up the question, are we treating Infinity Ward too harshly? Now, I think it's important to go back a year and look at the response that Infinity Ward gave out to us regarding our feedback during the Modern Warfare 2 beta and our concerns about some in-game features and changes that we actually wanted to be changed in the game's multiplayer. And I'll warn you, some of this stuff is pretty infuriating and it still makes me vomit in my own mouth just reading some of this stuff. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and start what they had to say about the minimap situation. Currently, in the MWIII beta, we only show enemy player dots when a UAV is active. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for firing their weapons. We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. And like when I first read this a year ago, I seriously was just about to throw up. I mean, just that sentence alone where they say, the design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for firing their weapon. You don't want to punish people for firing a gun that's in a game that's literally designed for you to shoot guns. That's literally the whole point of the fucking game, is to shoot your gun. You really think people are going to be scared to shoot a gun in a video game? I don't think so. I don't think people buy Call of Duty to not shoot a gun. I mean, there might be some people who like to go melee only, but for the most part, everyone is going to shoot a gun in Call of Duty. It's a video game. No one's going to be scared to shoot a gun, even if they do show up on the minimap as a red dot. That's just how it's always going to be. And it was actually disgusting for me to even read this for a second time a year later, because it is just absolutely absurd that a developer would even think of something like this. Another response they gave out was regarding perk packages, and they said, we've seen varied feedback on the perk package system. Some players love it, and others feel it's an unnecessary departure from the original system. We feel it's a nice shakeup to how perks work and to the general progression of a match. We've also balanced the ultimate perks to be more powerful as you earn them later in the match. Now, that's not nearly as disgusting to read out loud compared to the whole minimap and red dot situation, but the perk package system, I think most people can agree, just does not pan out well here in Modern Warfare 2 or in just Call of Duty in general, because, you know, look at every single Call of Duty title in the past. We've always had at least 3 perks like permanently on our classes. We've never had to like work our way through the match to earn them, right? And I get in the perk package system we're allowed 4 perks at all times once we earn them all, but that's the thing, you got to earn your bonus one and then you got to earn your ultimate one. And I understand that throughout time they did make it quicker for you to earn your bonus and ultimate perk, which is great, but man, there's been many times where, you know, I'm running the ghost perk as my ultimate, right? And an enemy player might be going off and he gets a UAV early on. Well, guess what? I can still show up on the minimap for him because my ghost perk hasn't been activated yet. And I just think that's a little silly considering I created this loadout so I can be stealthy and stay off of the enemy radar when they call in the UAV, but it doesn't matter because I haven't earned it yet in match. And so it's just a little frustrating how the perk package system just worked in Modern Warfare 2, and just the way you edit it in the menu itself is an issue in itself, but that's a whole UI situation, not necessarily a gameplay issue. And so I personally was never a big fan of the perk packages, not to mention the ultimate perks are also not that great either. There's only like a couple that I think everybody just runs 24/7, and I think that's really just Ghost and High Alert. Sure, Quick Fix can be good on playing like Shipment, for example, but really, like think about Survivor. How the fuck is Survivor an ultimate perk? The only benefit to using Survivor is just to annoy enemy players because you get into this down position and they might not be able to finish you off, which is like 90% of the time they will probably finish you off, but maybe if you're sniping in ground war, you can get away with and like revive yourself. Honestly, the Survivor perk is just meant for players who are bad at Call of Duty. Let's face it, that's literally what it's just meant for. And I just feel like the perk package system in Modern Warfare 2 was a huge downgrade what we've seen in previous Call of Duty titles, and I really hope to God, we just never see it make a return in a future title from Infinity Ward. And of course, another issue that we saw within Modern Warfare 2 that a lot of people had concerns about is that Dead Silence did not become a perk, and Infinity Ward's response to that is that Dead Silence is another hot topic, as many players have expressed that they would like to see it as a perk instead of a field upgrade. We believe it is important to game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequence. Dead Silence as a field upgrade creates a balance between freedom of movement and predictability of combat, and I cannot disagree more with this, because there definitely is a strategy to being aggressive while playing Call of Duty, right? You know, you can't just run around with like a headless chicken, right? If you run around like a headless chicken, just rushing into an enemy spawn, thinking you're just going to be able to spawn kill them and survive, you're absolutely crazy. You know, you have to actually like have good timing, right? Ever heard of COD timing? Yeah, it's a real thing, and it's definitely hard to predict COD timing at times, but you know, being aggressive in Call of Duty is not an easy thing to do. There takes skill to actually be aggressive and pull it off well within a Call of Duty match, and so being able to just run around and have loud footsteps where people can just easily sound horde you makes it pretty damn difficult to be aggressive, and having Dead Silence as a field upgrade instead of a perk makes it pretty difficult to run around, because you know, you might actually be able to pull off a good strategy by activating your Dead Silence field upgrade and being silent to kind of push the enemy team. And of course, it does refresh after every kill, but you know, it also relies on the spawn system and how, you know, Modern Warfare 2 has like the squad spawn system, so you might think you're pushing the enemy team, but really, instead of spawning where they should be spawning, they're actually spawning where their other teammates are at on the other side of the map, and you just wasted your Dead Silence field upgrade. And so that's where Dead Silence as a perk comes in handy, because it's permanent, right? Let alone, Infinity Ward has an amazing audio team. There's no denying that. If you pay attention to a lot of the other audio elements that you see within Modern Warfare 2 and Infinity Ward titles, that it actually, the audios is phenomenal that they have, but it's so good to the point where footsteps are just so easy to hear, and so that's why we want to have Dead Silence as a perk, because of how good footstep audio actually is in Infinity Ward games. And so that's a huge issue that in itself, which I really don't need to rant on any longer. But everything that I mentioned throughout the responses that Infinity Ward gave us throughout the Modern Warfare 2's beta, it really shows that they're so hesitant to change anything about their game to make it better and fun for everyone, because you even see polls on Twitter with people with a great following. It may not be everybody in the community voting on these polls, but it's a pretty good chunk of dedicated players for the Call of Duty community who are making these votes. And you know, Classic Minimap is probably the best example I can give. I think almost unanimously everybody can agree that the Classic Minimap should be standard in Call of Duty and just should not be messed with, right? You know, the only other time that we've seen the minimap get messed with outside of like Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2, Vanguard, and whatever was actually Black Ops 4, and that was a little different. It was kind of like a hybrid between the Classic minimap and some new system. I think they called it like the Fog of War or something. Very interesting, but I would much rather have like the Fog of War element than what we've been seeing within the past Infinity Ward titles personally. And even though I've been bashing on Infinity Ward quite a bit in this video, there is definitely some great things that they gave us in Modern Warfare 2 that I think make it a much better experience compared to Modern Warfare 2019. The best example that I can give you guys is actually the camouflage challenge system. I think it is a much better improvement, and I would love to see them continue this path with the way that the camo challenges work within Modern Warfare 2. I imagine they might work the same in Modern Warfare 3, but we'll have to wait until launch to see exactly how that actually works. But I really do like Modern Warfare 2's camouflage system. The only, I guess, complaint I would have is that there's still long shot challenges, but even then they're not nearly as bad as they used to be, especially within Vanguard. And so yeah, by far the camouflage change that they had within the challenges, I think were definitely a step forward in the right direction, so I commend them on that. But a lot of the gameplay elements, just how the game plays in Modern Warfare 2 is just not good. And even though it might have been an improvement compared to Modern Warfare 2019, there's just still a lot of room to make it a much more fun experience. And now, of course, we see Sledgehammer Games here making the right changes within Modern Warfare 3, which actually brings up another point that I really want to end off here, is that is Sledgehammer Games actually acting in good faith when it comes to making all these changes, or are they actually being forced to make a Call of Duty game that caters to a dedicated fan base? Because it's pretty clear clear that Call of Duty fell off pretty hard with Modern Warfare 2, and mostly it was when Warzone 2.0 came out, because that was a huge disaster as well, which I'm not even going to dive into that because I don't even play Warzone. It's something I don't care about. I'm mostly just a multiplayer guy. And so I have to wonder, you know, with the amount of communication we've been getting from Sledgehammer Games here right before the launch of Modern Warfare 3, and seeing how they're giving us a lot of the changes that we've been asking for throughout the last year, you know, I just have to wonder if they actually are acting in good faith, because I think a lot of us were kind of hoping Treyarch would give us a Call of Duty game, and it was kind of odd to see that now we have another Sledgehammer title. But yeah, I really do hope Sledgehammer Games is acting in good faith here, and Activision isn't like forcing them to create a game that caters to the community so they can bring their fan base back and just make money, you know. Like, I mean, it's Call of Duty though. The people are gonna buy it no matter what. Let's be real here. But yeah, you know, Sledgehammer Games, I will admit, out of all the developers, I think they are the ones who are the best at communicating. I just want them to continue with the communication, and you know what? They might go on a 2-week vacation during the holiday season, and if they do, so what? As long as the game is polished enough and there's no like major issues with the game before they actually go on vacation, then it'll be fine. I know it didn't look good during Vanguard. I hope they learned their mistake from Vanguard. But right now, my biggest concern with Modern Warfare 3 is how many bugs are actually going to be there at launch. Sledgehammer Games has been pretty notorious for having issues with their games at launch. You know, looking back at Call of Duty World War II, we couldn't even access the headquarters with random players. We just went into it by ourselves. We could still invite our friends to the headquarters, but we were like alone in there, and we weren't really interacting with anybody, and it was like that for almost a month maybe. And so then Vanguard eventually came out, which we all know how a buggy mess that was. So I'm concerned about Modern Warfare 3 at launch, how buggy it's going to be, and I really hope it is polished to a point where it's not infuriating to like go through the menus and try to select your creative class, and just really just making sure there's no bugs in the game that prevent you from accessing features that you should be able to access, I guess is really what I'm trying to say. But yeah, you know, Sledgehammer Games, they're doing a good job right now. They need to communicate with us on a frequent basis. They can't just like have a good start here and then go dark all of a sudden like Infinity Ward did, you know. Even though they did respond to us during the beta, even though we hated it, at least they said something. But Infinity Ward just was quiet all year round, and Modern Warfare 2, that year was just awful when it came to the communication from Infinity Ward. It was just a rough year to kind of get through on a lot of different things. So I'm crossing my fingers that this is going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to play the game at launch and seeing how it plays out. I'm cautiously optimistic right now is really where I'm currently at with Modern Warfare 3. But yeah, that's really all I have to say for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think the community is treating Infinity Ward too harshly, or do they deserve this much hate? And of course, do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter to stay up to date with me outside of YouTube, and I shall catch you guys later.